For those who think that Wizards of the Coast will not reprint the reserve list, I think you're wrong. In my humble opinion, I'm pretty sure Wizards of the Coast will sooner or later reprint everything from 1993, 1994. And they're going to look pretty much exactly like the original cards. Now here's my point. Hear me out before all you guys start going crazy and talking about, nah, they can't do that because it's the reserve list, it's going to be illegal. Listen, they proved it to us last year, was it 2 years ago, with this bullshit set, this garbage set that came out, Magic 30th anniversary, which was a complete flop. They proved to us that they could reprint everything, and they will basically protect themselves from legal issues just by saying that those are not real cards. Those are proxies. They're gonna change some little aspects of the cards like they did for Magic 30th, which was the back of the card, which was not like the original, and the front of the cards were a bit different. And they protected themselves basically saying that those were not real cards, they were proxies. So by that token, using that argument, we could safely say that they could reprint the entire cards, again, the entire set, let's say of Beta, where the card looks exactly like the old cards, where the colors are the same, the card stock is the same. And for those of you who think that they don't have access to the card stock that they used in 1993, or that the special recipe has been lost, forever lost in the vaults of Cartamundi, in the dungeons of Cartamundi, and no one there knows or kept a record of exactly what card stock was used and what colors were used, you're living in denial. They have all of that. They have access to all of that information, and they might not have kept the freaking rollers and the rubber blankets and whatever they use in the printing business of printing cards, playable card games. I don't really know exactly how it's done. I have a general idea. They might not have kept the physical rollers and whatnot and printing plates, but they kept the info on how to reproduce all of that stuff. All right, because remember one thing: in 1993, Cartamundi was a business, and Magic the Gathering was Wizards of the Coast was a customer for Cartamundi, a paying customer, and they were big. Well, maybe they were not big with Alpha, Beta, or Unlimited, but when Revise hit 6 months later, a year later after Alpha, that's if Cartamundi didn't realize then that Wizards of the Coast was a big company, they would have never realized it. So they kept all of those, all of the information related to the printing of the old product. They kept it for financial reasons, I guess for tax reasons. Cartamundi's in what? Was it Sweden, Austria, Norway? One of those countries, right? I don't know how the tax system works, but you're a company, you keep all of the records for what, 4, 5, 6 years. So there's no reason for Cartamundi to have discarded all of the information which was on the contracts, on the orders of Magic the Gathering product, which was Alpha, Beta, Limited, Arabian Nights, and all the good stuff that came out in 1993, 94. And remember, back then, nobody knew. Even people from Cartamundi didn't know how big this game was going to become, and would have never imagined for a second that cards would have been worth 10, 20, 30, hundred thousands of dollars 30 years later. So they had no reason to destroy everything and keep it a secret. Like I said, they kept all of the information. Now, that being said, because now I went on a freaking rant, they have what it takes to reproduce the original old product that freaking looks the same, feels the same, and smells the same. I remember the smell of opening revised booster packs. I remember the freaking smell of fresh cards out of the pack. All right, they could do that again if they wanted to. Now, that being said, all right, that being said, if Wizards of the Coast decides to come out with a product that looks and feels exactly like a beta product or an unlimited product or any of the old expansion product, where you would take an original card from alpha or beta and take the new product that they would just produce right now and put them next to each other, side by side, and these products would look exactly the same. There's no freaking Magic player, not even the old guys that used to play back then, that would be able to tell the difference. If Wizards of the Coast wanted to do that, they would be able to do that, all right? And they would still protect themselves by flipping the card around, and the only difference would be, again, it would be the same backside of the card, Magic the Gathering Deck Master, but with a little note where it says, you know, this card is a proxy, or not tournament legal, or collector's edition, or freaking ultimate, the ultimate collect, call it whatever the fuck you want. Wizards of the Coast has set a precedent with Magic 30th where they could say that it's a proxy, it's not a real product, and it's not legal to be played in tournament levels, for them to be clean as washed, and nobody could touch them. They're gonna wash their hands and nobody can touch them. Now, that being said, if they would create a product like this and decide to sell booster boxes and packs, and not the way they did with Magic 30th at $1,000 a pack, they were just idiots, all right? If they would do it in a way where the boosters or starters excuse me, would cost exactly the same that they costed 30 years ago. Well, not the same, I mean, obviously with inflation, a booster pack wouldn't be like $3 anymore, it'd be $5 or $6 or whatever, you get the point. But if they would keep it to a regular priced level where anyone could afford it, you think people wouldn't line up to buy that product? How big is the community of players worldwide that play Magic the Gathering? How big is it? I thought last time I checked, was it in the 20 million active players or something? Whatever it is. Okay? Don't you think all of those players know about old school? Everybody knows about old school players, about old school Magic. Even players that started playing 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Everybody knows about the Black Lotus and the Ancestral Recall and the Alphas and the Betas and the Arabian Nights and the Jews Amjad. Everybody knows about that. All right? But they have no access to the cards because the cards are too expensive. Everybody would love to play. I'm pretty sure a big portion of the population, the community of people playing Magic the Gathering right now that are playing, what do you call it, the modern sets, I'm sure a big portion of that population would love to play old school. The only reason why they're not playing it is because they have no access to it, because the cards are too expensive. Whoever has the cards, it's because they have, funds to buy those cards. They have disposable income, and you need a lot of disposable income to buy cards at $10,000 a pop. Or it's players, the older generation that had the cards from a while ago, or people that bought them 5, 6, 7 years ago when the prices were not as crazy as they are today. So the younger generation cannot get into the game. But if they would drop the prices to reasonable levels out of that big pool of people, of players, whether it's 10 million, 15, 20 million people worldwide, if only 5 or 10% of those people would love to play old school and would buy these cards if they were released as regular packs, you know how many players that would be that would just enter the market buying all of these Magic the Gathering products? On 20 million, 10% would be 2 million players. Now you're going to tell me, we're going to go lower than that, let's say 5%. That's 1 million players that would be willing to buy, I don't know, a few packs, a few packs of starter decks or booster packs. Or then you got guys like me that are going to buy easily 3, 4, 5 boxes. I would spend $1,000, $2,000 to make a whole set of cards, even though they're proxies, I would spend a lot of money to get an entire set of these cards if they would reprint them. Just for the fun of reopening packs, of trying to get a Lotus, a Mox, you know, like it was in the old days. I never had a chance to buy, I never bought any Alpha, Beta, or Limited. I bought Revised, I bought Legends, I was there for the Dark, I missed Arabian Nights and Antiquities, all right? But I would love to get that feeling again, to experience what it would have been to open a Mox or a Lotus or a, you know, a Big Blue, a Power Knight, anything. People will spend big money on this. With these calculations, with 500,000 players, a million players entering the market, spending $500 per player average, $1,000 per player average, that's a lot of money. I think this would be a home run for Wizards of the Coast. And they know it. They know that's going to happen if they would release this product. But they're keeping it. They're keeping it on the side burner. One day. Because let's face it, the day that and it's going to happen, Magic the Gathering is going to, the game is going to tank. It's going to slow down. Sales will drop one day. It cannot always be sustainable. The game will not always be as popular as it is today. When the shareholders feel like the prices, the price of the, you know, of Hasbro goes down, and you know, the executives are going to take, the board's going to take the decision to bring back the numbers for the shareholders. What do you think they're going to do? That's going to be their last Hail Mary, to reprint everything just to bring back the price of their shares. Then most probably they're going to tank the game. I don't know, it's an opinion. But they're going to do it. Again, because they know that they cannot be touched. They set a precedent. They've done it with Magic 30th. Nothing's going to stop them from doing it again if they wanted to do it. And nobody's going to touch them. Now, is it going to tank the price of the older original products? Maybe. Who knows? Maybe the revised stuff, the dual lands, are going to drop. The alpha stuff is going to remain alpha. I don't think it's going to be, it's really going to get hurt. But maybe beta, unlimited. Again, I don't know if it would hurt the price, but I could guarantee you, it's just mathematically, logically speaking, they have all of this intellectual, they have all this money locked into this intellectual property, which is the reserve list, the old game of Magic the Gathering. You think they wouldn't want to take advantage of that as a corporate, as a greedy corporation that wants to make money? I don't know. I think they would. You guys, let me know in the comments what you think. I think they're going to do it. Sooner or later, it will happen.